All right, so my shelf is done. Um, I really can't do anything else here. I got the tuner at the end, so even if I didn't have that, like I could add one more divider. And so the next step would be to do something down here where that 102 is and the orange coax is. But that's not an area that I really get to. So it's not at eye level, so it's not really operating position. It would be stuff that you don't use all the time. Also, sometimes some water comes in through the door when we have really big storms. So it's not a good place to have radio equipment, really. Um, but I can squeeze in one more shelf here if I get a sheet of plywood, um, and rip it down the middle, to the same size as that. And then I've got to build the top half into a box, and then I've got to put dividers like this in between it in order to give it the proper support. It can't just sit there like a shelf on brackets or anything like that, unless you're just going to put like no kind of significant weight. But so they got this piece done here, and this is going to be cool. I don't want to put too much weight on it because it's OSB, or MDF. I keep saying OSB. I do have a smaller sheet of, I think, 3/4 inch plywood, which would be far stronger than this. But I think if I run into an issue, I could just I've got lots of pieces of scrap wood. I could just put, cut up a 2x4 and make a cross brace and stuff. I could, frame it into the front, and the back. I mean, it wouldn't take a lot, but I mean, it's certainly easier to start with plywood in the first place. If you're going to build something like this, I recommend, whatever you got, you know. But if you got to go buy it, don't be buying MDF or anything like that. I mean, even I think OSB is probably stronger than that. So, and this garage is kind of like not finished. Like I grabbed this HVAC insulation. This was actually cut open HVAC. That it was in the dumpster next door when they built the house next door, and I just grabbed it out of there and cut it up and tacked it in with a stapler. They had some kind of weird like board here on the wall here. I guess the guy probably like had a board here with his like tool stuff, and part of this bench was actually here, and it was up higher, and I cut it down, and I kind of like had to do some weird stuff to like they had like these boards here to see the kind of darker looking ones. They had those there, and I ended up trying to figure out how to make any sense of what they did. So that white piece that you see underneath the amplifier, that was there. And then there was like this thing over here, nothing here. And then at the end here, they had a cabinet from a house, kind of like part of one, with some really thin like finish board on it. And they had something down here. So I basically just kind of took what they had and leveled it out on the bottom and then built it off of here, and then I built a frame underneath that, and you can kind of see that. So just to hold up my sheet of plywood that I bought, and then that was going to be like the whole thing right here, and then I believe, I'm not sure if I built that shelf. I definitely changed it. Because there's another one on the other side, and I built that one up there. I built the one that sits and hangs there. So I think that they had this here, but they didn't have a corner post there. Or maybe it was... No, none of it was there. So it was this piece up here, I think. They had this up here, maybe. Anyway, it's all been kind of a pain. I had something framed here, and there used to be a shelf that sat all the way across there. And, if you guys have been following me for any amount of time, you probably saw it. Like, I think there was a shelf here, a different type of shelf. As you can see, there's kind of what's left over of somewhat where it kind of met at. But I would go off of that big 2x8 header, right there. And I would continue on with another support piece. And then I would have to, box this whole thing in. It would be a lot of work. So, really, what I thought about doing is, okay, which one of these radios doesn't need to be up here? Which one of these accessories doesn't need to be up here? Because what I'm really just trying to do is get a couple more radios out here squeezed in. Speaker, other stuff could go on top of a radio, but I don't want anything heavy on top of a radio for the most part. I don't want to damage the paint. They're already kind of dinged up. So this one here doesn't really need to be out here, but I just put it out here because I had the room. So trying to figure out is it where this ICOM is. I don't get to use it as much anymore. This used to be my regular radio. I use it all the time. The tuner sits over here, and you just adjust it when I get on a different band. I operate from the house a lot too, so and when I'm in there, I just use an 891, or I can use the Kenwood 940 that still works, believe it or not. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess half of it's for looks, really, but I want it to function too. So, and the amps are down here, and one's hooked up, and the other one's alongside it in case I need a backup. So, and the tuner here is actually functional in bypass mode, but so I use it to kind of get an idea of how much power I'm putting out, and then I get my power supply down here for anything that doesn't have its own power supply, and then there's another one here for redundancy. So, but I don't really have anywhere to work on anything, so I don't know. I think maybe let's see what will fit in here. If the ICOM and the 710 will fit in there, maybe put those there. Originally, I was going to leave this area blank so that I could have a monitor in here for the 710, but the problem is the one I have is so big, and then I have this one here, and it's not too bad, but I think, my friend David has a little 10-inch monitor for his 710. I think that's kind of the way to go to a degree. Or you don't even really need one at all. The display's got really good resolution, so anyway, we're going to start kind of switching things around to see what works where and what, and try different things. And then we'll get on the air later tonight. Catch you guys later.